Hello, this is Duncan Fitter of Oracle Analytics Product Management Group. I'm your host for the day. So welcome to the Supporting Customer-Centric Sales with Agile Cloud-Based Analytics at Aeon, part of the OA Summit series. We will be taking questions via the Q&A session, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. So if you've got questions, please submit them via the Q&A functionality. If you've got other things that you need to ask, then please do point those towards me via the chat system. I'm very pleased to welcome Lisbeth Mulder of Aeon. She's online at the moment, so Lisbeth, over to you.
Good morning for me, good afternoon, good evening for some of you who are joining this webinar or are looking at it from at a later stage. So I'm Lisbeth, I am from Aeon, I work for Aeon, and I work for Aeon for about 6.5 years now. I am currently in the role of Aeon Global Reporting Lead, and I work in the Sales and Marketing Growth Enablement team. That team is a global team. We have colleagues across the globe in India, the Philippines, Germany, UK, and the US, and they call it follow the sun support, but we also follow the moon in some cases. And what I want to say about Aeon Connect Global Reporting Lead, that Aeon Connect is our Oracle Sales Cloud. That's how we have called that. So I've been working in different roles and different organizations, and I always tend towards creating more efficiency in processes. For myself, when I work in Excel, for example, and I have to do 2 keystrokes and have to repeat that, I just create a macro. The program I'm going to talk about is really, that fits my how I think about we should move forward. So first, I want to talk a little bit about what's Aeon. Well, you can read that Aeon is a leading global professional services firm. We have about 50,000 colleagues in over 120 countries across the globe. We have 3 main pillars in our services, which is risk and retirement and health. What I wanted to say is that Aeon is a word, and I can see a lot of people use it as an acronym like Aeon, but Aeon is a word and it means one, not a single one, but like a united one. And that's, let me go to the next slide. So when Aeon, I think a lot of companies will recognize that. Companies who acquired other companies or joined together with other companies, and the people from other companies, they have their own systems, they are hung up to that, they don't want to go to another system, and so you end up with different systems at a certain point. And so that's where we wanted to go with our CRM United program. We wanted to get CRM tools united in one tool. So, and the thing is that we wanted to become more focused on one account instead of 6 accounts. So we had 6 CRM instances, and we wanted to bring them together in one instance, and we have chosen the Oracle Sales Cloud for that. That meant that we had to bring in about 1.3 million accounts across those 6 instances. So we did deduplication. We did a lot to bring them and identify our unique clients. And so we brought it down to about 500,000 accounts. That makes us able to focus better on clients. So you can see the program vision here. So I think I'm not gonna talk about all of those steps. I want to just start with the single CRM instance. And what I also like is that we are going to automate processes whenever possible. So that's something I really like. So to come back to the invite that said that's well here for me, and so let's focus on the first bit. So I'm going to talk about the challenge set by the sales team who wanted to become more customer centric by having greater insight into their customers' desire, behaviors, and how her team went about tackling that. So I just want to focus on that first bit and tell you what we have done. So the whole CRM United program started before Q3 2018. So the whole setup of the system, but then my journey, the analytical journey, started in Q3 of 2018. And so we went live with a small group in September 2018. And just like 2 weeks before, we need a report as well. There were out of the box visualizations in the tool, but they appeared not to meet our need. So I just sort of volunteered in that stage. And so we created those reports that were Excel examples, and we created them in the Aeon Connect tool, which is BI Answers. I'm not proud of it, so I'm not going to show you that. So the first stage was really sort of survival stage, meeting initial and urgent reporting needs. Because we didn't have a full suite or full package with that. There was no data warehouse ready. There were high demand reports necessary for our CFOs. So we tried our best. We leveraged them, what they were used to get from their old system. So we created, that's called BI Publisher. That was some kind of export file. So we made sure the CFOs get their data. But really what we found out was that users have put their data into the system, but now they also want to get it out. So like it's more like a data in, data out. So they want to see, okay, what does my data look like in the new system? Where is my account? Where, so all of those questions. And then, but then in the next quarter, we were onboarding more users. So we in this quarter we extended our user base from a couple of hundred in the beginning to 11,000 something, like 600. So there's quite a lot of users. So we had to gather requirements for their reporting need. So we formed a reporting committee with sales operations people who are used to create reports. So they were meeting together and giving their requirements. So we did requirements gathering. That ended up in a sort of mock-up version of a dashboard. And so what I found out was that people were trying to, what they saw in the tool, like fields, they also wanted to see that in a report. And I found out that when you see a field in UI, in the user interface, it doesn't mean it's available for BI, business intelligence. So I would say it's normally you would say what you see is what you get, but it's what you see is what you don't get. So we had a lot of trouble finding those fields. We also bumped into security settings that weren't right. You know, we encountered a lot of data issues, and then people say, "Oh, your report is not right," but in reality, 9 out of 10, it was something behind that. Then, on top of those mock-up dashboards, we started building those the real dashboards in our tool, and we use BI Answers, or OTBI, it's called. So first of all, it was just me doing that. And so we tried to engage a couple of report builders. So we started that with a couple of like 10. It appeared to be quite difficult. So there were just a couple of them, like 3 pertained. They still built that, but for the majority, it's the tool was too difficult to create a report. So it was all up to us to create that. So we had a set of dashboards created, and then what we done was we have a very centralized approach. So we had one set of dashboards for accounts and contacts and opportunities, you know, all those main objects that you have in a Sales Cloud. And so what I've done, I sort of cloned them for each user group. So we had different user groups we cloned that for, which made it for me easier to maintain because it was the same dashboard with a different filter. But yeah, you can imagine it doesn't fit the need of everyone. So we tried a one size fits all approach. So this is one of the first dashboards we created. You can see a lot of filters in this dashboard. But then we also had a detailed tab with all of the information, because people in Aeon, they want to see what, you know, every record, every detail they want to see. So the most used page, I think, is this one. And then we had out of the box infolets, which I click away from because they're not Aeon brand. They're not, you know, they did their first purpose, but then we wanted to review them later. So in Q2 in 2019, we had a set of dashboards. We were sort of hopeful, calming down a little bit. People cooked their data out of the system, but then we were managing that. So they wanted to have additional requests, additional questions. So I think we had about 100 dashboards by then for the accounts and opportunities. But we also had some small businesses, like niche businesses with very specific needs. So we had also that dashboards. We had the infolets, the BI publisher reports, and we also had agents. And agents are used to send out information. So there was sort of phase that we are managing that. And if we go back to the dashboards, I was just showing you, none of the cases are, okay, there's one case was about this one on the right. And then another one was a case about, okay, can I have a toggle for close date to effective date? But in reality, all cases were about this one. Where is the export button? Why is the export button in the middle? Why do I have to scroll to the right? Can you put the export button on top? Can I have an additional filter? Can, you know, all those questions. So that means that they were exporting the data and using it offline. And then we heard all those noises, so to say. So we thought by Q3 we had tried a lot of things. We had tried customizations on dashboards, like pre-filtering of dashboards. But then, you know, we tried all the tricks in OTBI, but nonetheless, we had to press pause and review our reporting strategy. So by Q3 2019, we decided to get a reporting survey to all of our users. And so I want to go into this a little bit deeper. So we have 4 main user groups, and I want to explain what their struggle is. So what you can see, it's not a galaxy. It's our Aeon stars. This is the hierarchy of our Aeon users. But then a small part, because with 11,000 users, you would have a galaxy of it. So it's a small part of our users. You can see this one is a manager of that person, and that person manages those person, and then he has another team. So it's the hierarchy in Aeon Connect. So for an end user, and we have about 8,000 end users, it's the information he can see in the tool is, the number of records. That's okay. He needs to see a small set of data. So filtering, it was like tailored for that person. So filtering is not an issue. It was only getting to the data, getting to the right data. So the number of clicks it took for that person to go to something meaningful. Then if we look at a roll-up manager, which is, for example, this person, he needs to see the data of all those other standard users and also other roll-up managers. The amount of data is still fairly small, so the tool can handle that. But he also need to have actionable and quick access to information. But the setup of Aeon Connect or our Sales Cloud accommodate the way they want to look at that data. So that for 87% of the people it was okay, but then still it didn't answer the questions, and they had still click a lot. Then we have about, there's a small number, but it's an important number. We have sales target managers who run an office, for example, and you can see an office doesn't always follow the team structure. So he's for an office or a solution line, or he can be responsible for both. So he cannot use the normal security settings from our Sales Cloud to get to his data. So what we done, we give him all the data. So it was all or nothing, but that means that he sees all data globally. And when he just wants to see an office, it's he had to filter a lot and had to wait a lot, because when you give someone all the data in a dashboard, it takes a while to filter that. And then we have our sales operations managers who support a lot of people, like a lot of end users. So they also need to be able to filter some of the data based on country, or also a business line or a product, or so they also needed to have all the data in order to get to that data. So I just wanted to highlight that. So some of the analytical things tools we are using, I already mentioned that, which are the infolets. The infolets are the small cards you can find next to your homepage. We have our analytical dashboards. I showed you an example. We have agents, which are scheduled reports, and then we have the BI publisher, which we use for large data dumps. So we use them for the initial need of our financial as our CFOs. So if we put our users in the different buckets, so we have our standard users and our roll-up managers, like the 87% of our users. They use the infolets, but also analytics dashboards. They are okay with finding the data, but then they are not okay by getting the answers and the amount of clicks they need to do. We have our sales target managers and sales operations. They also use analytical dashboards, but then, like I said, they have all or nothing. They have all data, so it costs a lot of time. We have our agents. We use them, for example, for weekly updates for the one won opportunities in Brazil from the last week, or we also use them as notification. Your opportunity is about to close. So that's where we use those agents for. And the last thing is the BI publisher. They're really one-off reports, or the ones with a lower frequency. Okay, so we did our survey, and I already told you something about the disadvantages and complaints we are hearing. So another thing is that we have confidential deals in our system. The opportunities, they are marked as confidential for, well, obvious reasons. And no one can see them unless you own that opportunity or you're allowed to see that opportunity. But there are just a few people who are allowed to see those confidential deals. So when you are in Sales Cloud and you run a pipeline report, there are no confidential deals in. So you cannot see what's on the horizon. So that was one of the issues. You cannot flip between currencies. You can pick a currency. You have to pick it from your profile. It's very. You have to sort of work around. You have to pick it on your profile. Maybe you have to log off, log on, clear your cache. Okay, then you can see a new currency, but you cannot easily change between US dollars or Australian dollars, or I want to see euros, or I want to see euros next to British pounds, for example. That wasn't possible. And like I said, we had performance issues with large data sets. And the complaint was that the dashboards were too difficult to use for non-IT skilled users. And then our standard users and rollup managers, they want just to have data that's relevant for them. They want to have their answers, their questions answered. And then our power users, which are the sales operations users, they needed more flexibility. They needed to be able to create their own dashboards, and the current tool is too difficult for that. Well, too many clicks, that's what I said. Okay, so our way forward was, we started on a review of the infolets. You've seen the old ones. We are reviewing them to answer more of their questions. For example, if someone wanted to see, okay, what are my accounts, which accounts don't have a lead or an opportunity, or which accounts don't have a lead or an opportunity. I'm in the team, like more complex questions. They had to get a list of their accounts, they had a list of their opportunities, a list of their leads, combine it, and then see, okay, those accounts, they don't have a lead. So we try to answer those kind of questions on the infolet pages now. So it's very actionable. They can look at it from day to day, and it's on the home page. So it's 1 or 2 clicks away. And they had to do up until now like 7 or 10 clicks, to get to the data. So that's an improvement. So the agents, we want to use more. We eventually want to go get rid of the BIP reports, but that's status quo for now. But then the biggest change was to get a solution for our sales targets managers and sales operations managers. And so that was more a strategic decision. Are we going to get a new tool? Are we going to use a tool we already have? Are we staying close to our sales cloud? And so finally we decided to go to acquire Analytics Cloud, which we have named Clive. And in Analytics Cloud, you're able to mold your data model and your data the way you want. It's really, ideal. So we have applied confidential deals. We mask our confidential deals. You can see them in the data. So you can see a number. You can see. You can even see in which country it is. but you don't see the account itself. So some of the attributes are masked, and we have multi-currency, so we can flip between different currencies, and it's much faster. So we started, so that was the strategy, and now we started with Oracle on a rapid start. Well, I think I've told most of it. We worked on confidential deal masking, multi-currency. We started off with two main things, which is client-focused reporting and pipeline reporting. So we worked with Oracle, and they have a framework for that. So we followed that framework, and we understand that framework. So in beginning of this year, we went live with Clive, our analytics tool, and we also started an author community. So a year ago, we tried to start an OTBI report builders group, but that didn't work out. So we start again with a new tool, which is much easier, and we can see that a lot more users can use it. It's more drag and drop, and so I think that's the first bit of my talk today. Then I want to highlight the second one. So you can hear from me, gain an understanding into how the emerging market campaign response data with their existing sales pipeline data in a single analytics application has helped them better focus and to become a single pane of glass. So I'm gonna talk about that now. When we are building those dashboards for the sales, for sales reporting, we got attention from our marketing colleagues, and the question was, can we do reporting on top of sales and our Eloqua data? They do marketing in Eloqua. Can we do that? And then the answer was yes. Analytics Cloud has a native connection together in one sort of bucket or instance. So that's that we started the project doing that. The thing is that the Eloqua data was very clean, much cleaner or much clearer. Our account in Aeon Connect also had an account ID in Eloqua, and the same for contact. So there was a lot of work already done. So if you have an opportunity, what marketing activities do influence that opportunity? That was the question. And so is that, a user downloading a white paper? Did that initiate the opportunity? Or that's you don't know. So we have come up with an approach or model, and it can be different for each business. So what we have done is that any interaction the Eloqua or the marketing has with the contact on our opportunity before the opportunity was created, that's taken into account as that has influenced the opportunity. And then up until the moment that it's closed, all those activities also contribute to the closing. So what you see here is completely made up. So don't look at the names, it's just made up interactions with our for the clients. So you can see there are 3 interactions before it was created, and then about 7 afterwards. So in total, there are 10 interactions. And if we have a 100K deal, contributes with 10K. So that's the model we have created. So that has resulted in a dashboard, and you can see side and one opportunities and opportunities that are open. So it forms a single pane of glass, so to speak. So I'm going to click through some of the dashboards which have been created. How they look like. So you can filter on a lot of things as well. So that was about the single pane of glass between sales and marketing. So the last bit about how the cloud allowed us to increase activity on multiple projects, and how we are minimizing the effort to integrate and reduce costs, etc. That's the last part of my talk today. So the last part of our journey is we went live with 6 dashboards within 2 weeks, which is, I think, quite a lot. We touch a lot of users. So if I give an example, and if you compare it to the dashboard you saw before, it's very clear and clean, and there are a lot of other tabs as well in which you can dive into the data. And so what we also have done is we can apply a different set of security to a dashboard. So in Aeon Connect, in our Sales Cloud, you are stuck to the security model, which, you know, with the rollup managers and the end users. And here you can just say, okay, you're an end user in our standard user in the system, but you need to see all of retirement in the UK as well. You know, we can do that. So you can set up your own security settings in here. But it limits the view, but it also helps. So you remember the sales target manager who should see an office and a solution line. So you can put him in a group and then make sure he just sees the office and the solution line and nothing else. So he doesn't have to filter a lot. And this is one of our other client-focused dashboards about client service. And these are as a test version of our new infolet pages, which are looking much cleaner, and so you can see accounts without a lead or opportunity, etc. So there are very actionable items. So how can we do that all together? So we have underneath our sales analytics cloud, there we use autonomous data warehouse, and we have a live version, a test instance, and a dev instance. So while we having things in the live environment for our end users, we can do things in our dev environment. So we started our Eloqua journey in dev, and then moved it to test, and then to live. We're also working on getting our operational data store working through our autonomous data warehouse. So we're working on that as well. So there can multiple teams can work together. But then in creating a dashboard, it involves the replication of your data. So your information comes from Sales Cloud to the autonomous data warehouse. Then in autonomous data warehouse, you can transform it. So you do the confidential deal masking, multi-currency, and then it ends up in a couple of dimensions and facts, and then you can create a data model out of that. So we have different people. It's a lot of colors and blocks, but you can see we work on different dashboards at the same time, and you can see the different phases they go through. So on the data replication, someone works on that, and in the database, someone else can do that. So not one team is working on all of the steps, and so that makes us available to work on different dashboards at the same time. So we have different groups who work on a data replication on the database, creating a data model, and then the data visualization in Analytics Cloud. There's some overlap, but then I think you can say data replication are maybe 1 or 2 persons, and then it grows. Data visualizations, there are more people working on that. And when you distribute it and people using it, it's we have a lot of users for that. So I think conscious of the time. What's next? More dashboards, more tools to explore, like machine learning. And I wanted to give a short. If you just want to see the video and you don't have lots of time, maybe you can watch this one. We love acronyms in Aeon, so I just put a acronym journey. So first we had data in, data out. People want data was in, they want to see what it looks like, they want to get it out. Then we had a phase of what you see is what you don't get. So it was sometimes difficult to what you see on the screen to get that in a report. Then we went to a one size fits all, or it's not Aeon, it's all or nothing approach. Everyone sees the same dashboard. Then people try to change that, so they want to, what you want is what you get, but don't get. Then we went back to our drawing board to start all over. Then we set sail to something new, and we found some higher ground, analytics cloud, a new author community, new dashboards. We're also breaking new ground with the connection to Eloqua, and hopefully we found common ground, and we have one version of the truth. So and then more acronyms to come. Data visualization yourself, machine learning. So that's the journey in a nutshell. So what is the payoff? I think we, if I summarize that, we have improved productivity for standard users and rollup managers. So they have less clicks, actionable information. We reduce time and effort for our sales target managers and sales operations. So there is no offline reporting necessary, or not that many anymore. There's no reason to do that, at least. They can quickly produce output, seconds or minutes, instead of minutes, or even some are using hours. It's also reproducible. So if you do something in Excel and okay, there's an error, you have to do it again. It's difficult to reproduce. I said one version of the truth, so there will be less discussions if you all look at the same dashboard. We found data issues, which is, it sounds bad, but it's good. So it's better to do to monitor data quality, and we also have we are able to work on some of the goals or initiatives around our operational data store, which is the current situation is a little bit fragile old, so we are working on that as well. And some soft payoffs, which is we have discovered talents, or people have discovered talents with themselves, and so we have developed an author community and hopefully get a better buy-in. And at the end, some positive feedback after the go live. And well, there was someone said yesterday to me, she was so excited. It took 2 seconds to do that, and she wanted to give me a hug because she was so happy. So we have quite positive feedback on our go live last week. So I want to thank you, and I want to give it back to Duncan for some Q&A.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for what was a absolutely fascinating session. We do have time for a few questions. Let's just give Elizabeth a moment to look at the Q&A, and I will in a second hand back to her. But if you find the Q&A functionality, please submit your questions via that. And Elizabeth, back to you.
Okay, so I have a question. I said I trained 10 report writers in the OTBI, and that went quickly down to 2. And why? What was the reason for that? I think a couple of reasons is that the tool is quite difficult to work with, and you need to have your 100% time to do that. So if most people have like, okay, I got 20% of time, it's difficult when you have, you cannot go do that 1 hour a day and then do something else. You have to spend more time to really learn that, because I always say you have to make mistakes in order to, you have to bump into issues before you can really use the tool. It also uses the subject areas that came with Sales Cloud, and we had so many fields, like 500 fields, and then like there was a stage and a stage name and stage code, and I, at a certain point, okay, that's the field you need, and the other ones, they are blank or empty, or so there was a lot of noise in the data model. So you have to you have to spend a lot of time on that. So it was too difficult, and it was not clean enough, I think, is the answer. And the ones who pertained were, they were really, they had time and they want to focus and they wanted to learn. Then another question about why have you chosen the name Clive? Yeah, that was funny. We were doing our rapid start, and then doing the rapid start, you have to look at data and mapping. You would look at the screens, you're looking for patterns in data. Then you suddenly saw a pattern in our URL. And so let me see if I can find it. Maybe, yeah, okay. So just don't look at this one. So here is our URL. You can see it said Oracle Analytics, or Aeon Connect, Oracle Analytics Cloud Live. That was the name. But then we just saw Clive. So we started talking about Clive when we. So that's how that came about. And there is a question: what has been the response from your users on the evolution of reporting? Well, the response of our users, I think initially they were, well, we told the news, and I think they got, well, they got warmed up. Okay, they got, there's some new tool, but then it took a while, because before they were got brought into that, because we had to do a lot of things in the back. So they became impatient. Oh, when do we get this tool? And then, which is good, because they were waiting for that. So it did, and so they are very positive, but it doesn't go quick enough. So I mean, they really like it, so they want to have everything in there. So that was a positive. What is another question? What is for you the biggest benefit of Analytics Cloud? Well, I have worked in ClickView as well before I worked in Sales Cloud, and in ClickView, you're free to create a data model, whatever you want. And I missed that in OGBI. So my biggest benefit of Analytics Cloud is that you're able to combine whatever you want, because when we worked with our implementation partner, they always said, okay, it's a very robust tool. So I was thinking, okay, robust, and you can combine multiple objects. Okay, so I tried that. So I pushed it to the limit until the point that it's almost broke, I think. So I think that robust means something else to anyone. But what I like about it is that it's more robust, and I can combine, for example, accounts with their account teams, and then with their opportunities and teams, and then say, okay, I want to see anyone in the risk solutions who has an account, but then with a health person in the opportunity team, whatever. So that wasn't possible to do. So yeah, the more robust way to, I like that. I think that's the best, the benefit. Those were the questions, Duncan.
Thank you, Lisbeth. Thank you again for what was a great session. If you want to watch the replay or one of the other on-demand sessions, you'll find them at www.oracle.com/OA Summit. I don't see any more questions come in, so I think what we will.
Yeah,
Yep,
one
is there another one?
question.
Okay,
Oh,
brilliant.
what would you have done differently? That's a question. That's a good question. I think not what I have done differently. I think engage with a partner who is really who knows a lot about reporting, or get an expert in who can help you. Because always also in the setup of your system, it's sometimes important with the choices you make. I don't like multi-pick lists because they're horrible to report on. And if you don't want to decide and you do a multi-pick list, then you have a lot of problem doing reporting. So someone who's an expert on that, who can help you with that. I would have done that differently.
Brilliant. Thank you very much again. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll close there. Thank you and stay safe.